What is money? The purpose of money as a conceptual tool is to facilitate easy trade as a medium of exchange. It functions as a unit of account, store of value, and social power. Mankind's greatest invention wasn't electricity, the internet, or even AI. It was money. It's the most influential technology, allowing us to divide our labor and exponentially increase our productivity and quality of life. Imagine living with a primitive jungle tribe. No insulated housing, electricity, internet, phones, TV, computers, books. It would be a death sentence for most of us. We'd probably die of boredom before anything else. I know I would. Money enables us to properly survive as humans, qua humans. That is, as rational and intelligent beings. It's the lifeblood of civilization. We can exist without it, but we can't live. Money allows fair and voluntary exchanges, significantly easier than barter. Imagine for a moment, just imagine for a moment, trying to trade chickens for petrol, furniture, or groceries. It's impractical. Money serves as a convenient and universal medium of exchange. It also functions as a unit of account. Without it, how many chickens would you need to trade for a cow or tomato? With money, a cow costs $1,000, a chicken $20, and a tomato $1.50. Think of money as a measuring stick of value. The higher the price, the more valuable the item. This function helps us quickly identify differences in value. Speaking of value, money acts as a store of value. Unlike tomatoes and aging chickens, which devalue over time, the cash in your wallet and bank lasts. However, fiat does lose value due to inflation, making it less than ideal as a store of value. And if you don't know what fiat currency is, it just means currencies that are issued by the central bank in each country that is backed by faith and trust in the government and these central banks. That's what fiat currency is. Money is a social power of influence. It allows you to persuade people to act in your favor, whether by outbidding someone for a house, traveling the world, hiring an army, or swaying political decisions. Money grants you the ability to achieve things that would be impossible without it, functioning almost like a superpower. Although it's a double-edged sword, as it can be used for tremendous good, but also horrific evil. And because of this, it's imperative we have the most individualistic, fair, unbiased, private and sovereign money we possibly can, lest all the social power flow to the wrong hands, as it always does with bad money. Gold, silver, Bitcoin, fiat, and freedom credit are not intrinsically money. They're used as money. Right? This is a big mindset shift. No one else talks about money like this, or not that I've seen. These things are used as money. They're not money itself. Money itself is conceptual. It only exists in our minds. Gold and silver are metals. Bitcoin and digital fiat are computer codes. Cash is paper. They're symbols we use as money. Pull out some cash. This is Peruvian money. Soles, it's called. But really, this is just paper. It's only money because we believe and treat it as money. We trust it's used as money according to the characteristics, which I'll get into very soon. It's not money itself, it's a currency we use as money. And there's a big difference. Currency is the physical or digital item which represents the idea of money. In the past, gold and silver were treated as currency and a common medium of exchange. But today, they're not really considered money per se, but an investment asset or commodity. And ideally, they don't become currency again because they're impractical in today's digital world. This is where the freedom credit steps in as the latest upgrade to humanity's greatest technology. And so I used to be very much against money. I saw how money can be used for such great evil, how all the world's atrocities are motivated by money, all the bad and powerful people in positions of control and governments and banks and these billionaires, how they use their money and their wealth for such evil. Sometimes, very rarely, they do some good things, but most of the time it's just control and power and enslavement and domination. And so I was very much against money, and I wanted to figure out a social economic system where there is no money, but that's next to impossible. Some really good ideas with Jacques Fresco's Venus Project, but we can't get there to a resource-based economy without money. We need money, we just need the right type of money. That's for us, that's for the individual, that's not collectivist, that's not centralized, that's not decentralized, but private. That's why freedom credit is the only self-custodial, private ledger appreciating money. Mind you, the freedom credit is still in the concept stage, so it hasn't been technically built. This is the theory, the concept, and the concept has, for the most part, constructed, which I'm very proud of, and I'm presenting to you today. And so in this video, we're going to be looking at, well, what is money? And looking at the purpose, functions, and characteristics of money, which there's 6. And then we're going to be looking at the qualitative aspects, which there's 20 or 20. Then the difference between sovereign and democratic money and why you actually want sovereign money. And that's all we're going to look at in this video. In the next episodes of this series about the freedom credit and money, we will then be going to page 1 because we're currently on page 2. I thought it would be more appropriate to start here with what is money? What actually is it? Because we all use it, but if you were to ask the average person on the street, no one knows what it is. The amount of people that really know what money is will be tiny, and to this depth as well. That's why I want to make this video and help educate people to learn what money really is, and to help build a private money that works for us, that's unbiased and fair. The next video will be going over more detail about the freedom credit, what that actually is and how it works and how it maintains a stable locked purchase price, which I haven't seen in any other type of currency, cryptocurrency, any other type of money. I think that's a very unique idea I've developed there. And then we'll be going into page 3, talking about efficionomics, how prices fall to the marginal cost of production and technology is naturally deflationary. Then how the freedom credit is a closed loop system, looking at the morality of the current monetary system and how the banks own your money, what's going on legally there. And then in the next page, the next episode, we'll be looking at financing methods with freedom credit and how they're very different to today's finance and how today's finances, it just destroys the world. It's such a bad system when you break it down. It's only favorable for a very, very few. And then we've got some miscellaneous questions and answers. We'll be skipping over page 5 because that's just some links to other videos I've made about some history of money, comparing other currencies and looking at the Bitcoin scam, explaining how it's not really what people think. And we'll also be going more into Bitcoin in page 8, looking at Bitcoin problems, also my motivation and understanding inflation. But before we get there, we'd be going into page 6, looking at fiat inflation versus freedom credit deflation, why deflation is actually a really good thing because it means your currency is actually appreciating and you can buy more things with each unit of credit or money or value you actually have, which is great. I'm talking about the value of money and how the current monetary system has de-linked work and labor from money. They've tricked the world into giving them everything in exchange for nothing. That's crazy. Also, how the Freedom Credit is a replacement to modern banking. And then in page 7, we'll be looking at some more technical details about the private ledger, also how to prevent double spending, some other technological issues. So for today, let's start here with the purpose, functions, and characteristics of money. Whether a currency is good or bad, physical or digital, limited or unlimited, it must have the below purpose, functions, and characteristics to qualify as money. So the purpose of money, the main reason why we need money as human beings, as intelligent, civilized, or on the way to, we're trying to become civilized, we're trying hard, we might get there, hopefully if we can have a fair money, we'll get there, is we need money and its purpose is as a medium of exchange. For the purpose of facilitating consensual trade, money makes things fair. Makes things fair when it's the right type of money. Even with the bad monies we've had today and in the past, it still makes things fairer than just force, than just violating people's consent and strong-arming people to do what you want upon the threat of death. Money makes things consensual. So when we look at gold and silver in the past, as a medium of exchange, it was high. Today it's actually low. So this is ranking with points. I'm going to give points to almost all of these sections here. These are functions, purpose, and characteristics. So if I'm ranking gold and silver today as a medium of exchange, I'm only giving it half a point because it's just not used as a medium of exchange today. Try going to your local supermarket to pay for your groceries with gold and silver. They're not going to accept it. So it's only ranking half a point. When we look at fiat, well, fiat currency is high. It's the highest out of everything because it's used everywhere by everyone. So it gets 1 point. When we look at crypto, crypto is low because many cryptos are actually viewed as assets and they aren't traded. Sometimes people actually do spend their crypto and use it as a medium of exchange, but still it's such a low percentage of people in the world and transactions and businesses can actually accept any crypto, not just Bitcoin, but any crypto. It's still low. I'm not giving it 0 points, but it's still half a point. And then Freedom Credit, well, it hasn't been built yet, but its ambitions is to be higher than fiat because it's designed to be adopted worldwide, to be the dominant medium of exchange for the world because it's got all these other really good characteristics about it. So let's look at the functions. Social power. So social power is the ability to influence people. So you can just do things with money. Just for a moment, start to think of all the things you can do with money that you would have a very hard time doing without money. And I don't need to go over that. I'm sure you can think of that yourself. But I'm not going to award any points. It's too hard to award points for this function right here. So gold and silver, it's medium to high as a social power because it does represent great value, but it's also hoarded by very few, which affects it and makes it a bad money in some ways, but as a social power, it makes it quite powerful. And as a fiat is very high. It's too high as a social power because it's designed to only serve the upper class, the ruling classes. The central bankers, the people who, just essentially the bankers, the people who make the money out of thin air, the credit creation model of how money is actually created and expanded, entered into the economy. There's too much social power there. It's not fair, it's not equal, it's not even. It puts the power, it concentrates the power in the hands of too few. So crypto as a social power, low to medium, it's not that high because it isn't widely accepted. Most people still don't accept crypto, so it doesn't really have that much power to influence people. Freedom Credit, well, that hasn't been built yet, but it aims to only be a medium to high. You don't want it to be too high, you don't want it to be too low. It needs to be in that Goldilocks spot. So it has the potential to be socially powerful, and social power is a good thing. You want social power, but you could expand a whole video just on that, because think about it. Just think, you can use that social power for good, you can use it for bad. So you need money to be a social power, but you need it in the right context for the right thing. So it needs to just be a medium, an unbiased and fair way. So let's move on from there to point 3, which is as a store of value. Does the money or currency hold value over time? So with gold and silver, everyone knows that it does. When we're measuring it with fiat currency, it seems to appreciate, but that's just really because the fiat currency is depreciating. So that's high, exactly, 1 point. Fiat, well, medium for fiat. Your $50 note will buy the same amount today as tomorrow, or tomorrow as it will today, but over time it does generally depreciate. There's only some rare exceptions where it doesn't. It doesn't happen often. Most of the time it is inflating like crazy, meaning that you need more of it to buy the same things. Crypto, well, that's a medium as a store of value. It's quite volatile, as its value is based on whatever the market is willing to pay, because crypto is more a speculative asset. It's not really a currency. It's not designed to be a medium of exchange. It's so people can make money with it and then cash out in fiat. Some people don't treat it like that, and they hope and they pray to God that it actually does become a medium of exchange. But just most people, 90% plus, it's hard to put an exact figure, but most people aren't using or viewing crypto like that. Most people buy it, they hold it, so then they can hopefully sucker someone else in to sell it to and make a return with fiat. So it defeats the whole purpose of cryptocurrencies. That's why the Freedom Credit's very different. It has a stable purchase price, so it takes away all that speculation. It's not designed to be an asset. It's designed to be a currency. That's what's so different about the Freedom Credit. Freedom Credit high, yes, I said that exactly, and the more it's used, the more it appreciates in value. How? Keep watching. 1 point, half a point, half, 1 point. Number 4, unit of account. So it's like a standard of measurement or easy to use numbers. So gold and silver is really quite good because it works via weight. How much is this donkey, this house, this t-shirt? Well, it's a particular weight of gold or silver. And most of the time that's pretty good. With fiat, sometimes it can be a good unit of account. And let's look at this example. A loaf of bread may cost 10,000 Vietnamese dong, 3 Australian dollars, 0.00004 Bitcoin, or 2 grams of silver, or 2 Freedom Credits. So obviously in this scenario, the AUD, silver and Freedom Credits are good units of account because it's easy to understand that. You don't have to do any mental gymnastics. You got 10,000 dong, what, just for a loaf of bread? 0.4 Bitcoin? That's just ridiculous. It's not usable. It's too hard. Sure, you can get the apps that do these conversions, but why not just design a money to have a good unit of account just built into the system, right? Think for the long term. For example, Bitcoin's there's actually, 2.1 quadrillion Bitcoin? But people don't think of it like that because 2.1 quadrillion Satoshis, actual units of Bitcoin. There's 21 million Bitcoin, but each Bitcoin goes down to an 8 decimal point. So it just gets confusing. I think it's a bad way to do it in comparison to Freedom Credit, where there's actually 10 quadrillion units, but it's divided differently. There's 10 trillion Freedom Credits, but only 3 decimal points. So it just makes it an easier unit of account. It's a better unit of account to measure items of value with. So characteristics, we have divisibility. Can it be broken into smaller units? So gold and silver, it can be. It can be melted down and made more divisible. You can have big chunks of gold, you can have small gold and silver coins, but in today's world, with gold, it's not very practical. It's not very divisible because it has too high of a value. 21st of March, 1 gram of gold is 154 Australian dollars. Imagine trying to go to the supermarket. If digital currency and fiat or something happened to the financial sector all across the world. And imagine trying to buy a loaf of bread with your gold. Like, how small is that going to be? Because it's worth 154 Australian dollars. And if something really bad did happen, 1 gram of gold would be worth $10,000. Like, the price is going to skyrocket. And it's impractical. Silver is more practical, but still, for divisibility, it's okay. Fiat has very good divisibility because you have cash and coins, and digital is even better, so it scores 1 point. Crypto is very, very divisible. I think that's too divisible, but still it scores 1 point. And freedom credit, as I said before, 3 decimal points. Yes, it's very divisible. Number 6, with fungibility, is each unit the same value? So I have 200s here. Or sometimes maybe, because this is a newer one, sometimes the newer note will actually get treated and be preferable to the old one, but normally still they're fungible. And why I say that is, for instance, I went to a bus station the other day and they wouldn't accept some of my notes because they were old. I needed newer notes. And I was like, oh my goodness, because the machines physically wouldn't take the money. It was crazy. But ultimately, yeah, fungibility just means, is this the same value as this? Yes, 100. Whereas 2 tomatoes, 2 horses, 2 chickens, 2 cows, they're not fungible. They're not the same value, because some horses are better than other horses, and there's some effect that happens with that, where the bad money pushes out, Gresham's law, I think it is, the bad money pushes out the good money. So people start trading with bad quality horses, the nags, and they save their good horses. So you want a fungible money. Gold and silver, yes, it is fungible because it's measured by weight and the carats, and each amount is worth the same as the rest all over the world, so 1 point. Fiat, yes. Crypto, yes. Freedom credit, yes. So they all score 1 point for fungibility. And then if we add all those up, freedom credit is actually scoring the highest with 5 points. And that is obviously making the assumptions here that it will become a medium of exchange. If we consider and just look at the concept of it and imagine it already was in circulation in the world, in theory, in a simulation, it's going to score the highest. With gold and silver and fiat equally behind it, and crypto just a little bit further behind fiat and gold and silver. So now let's look at the qualitative aspects. I won't read all these out, we'll go through them one by one. And qualitative aspects, they determine the value, desirability, usability, and overall quality of a money. The more points a currency has, the better it ranks as a good money. A good money is the currency which ranks the highest in the time in history it's being scored. As of today, the concept of the freedom credit scores the most points as what constitutes as a good money. It remains possible that an even better money is created in the future. But this is the best we can build with the technology and ideas we have today. Number 1 is scarcity or scarcity, depending on where you are in the world. Is there a limited amount? With gold and silver, people often view it as scarce, but not really. There's an approximate 6% increase per year for gold and 4.2% with silver. So that still it's not that scarce. People are digging up gold all the time. Is it ultimately finite? Is there only a limited amount of gold and silver in the world? Probably, most likely, but how much really is that? We don't know. There's people keep digging up hundreds of thousands, or is it hundreds of thousands, or maybe just thousands of tons per year, a lot of it. So obviously it's a lot less than fiat because it's unlimited with fiat. They make as much as they want. In the US, they made approximately 41% more dollars in 2020 to 2022, which is, it's not very good. It means everything gets more expensive. Most cryptos have a cap, but some of them don't. And just looking at Bitcoin here, 21 million, that's something I actually do like about Bitcoin. So we'll give cryptos 1 point there. With Freedom Credit, yes, it has a cap of 10 trillion. Number 2, liquidity is ease and speed of conversion into other forms of value as goods and services. So for example, a house isn't liquid, right? It might be a great store of value. It's not a very good medium of exchange. It's not very liquid because it takes time to sell it, right? If you want to buy a loaf of bread, some eggs, some milk, well, you can't use your house. It's going to be very difficult to actually sell it and then turn it into something that's really liquid, like fiat, like cash. And so fiat is the highest. Gold and silver, medium. Most people don't trade with it, and they only specialized dealers actually exchange those metals for fiat. So then you can actually spend that money. 0.5 point, 1 point for fiat. Crypto, not very liquid. I mean, personally, I had a lot of trouble buying crypto and selling it, converting back into fiat. This 0.5 points, I feel, is actually being quite generous. I think it's not very liquid at all. Some people in different countries using different platforms may have had better luck, but it's not very good overall. Freedom credit, obviously to be determined, but aspiring to be even higher than fiat because it's designed to be a one world, like a worldwide currency. Just like how the central bankers want to make a one world CBDC, but have nefarious ideas and intentions and agendas behind that. I want this to be the opposite to that and be a benevolent money with good intentions and good points about it, as you're seeing here. Next, we look at acceptability. Do people accept the money as a medium of exchange? Well, gold and silver is low. Most people don't. Fiat, yes, that scores the highest. Crypto, not very high. No, that's quite low. Freedom credit, obviously to be determined, but aspiring to be the world's most accepted money. Durability, how strong is it? Tomatoes aren't very durable, chickens aren't durable, tobacco or salt or sugar, not very durable, things that have been used as money in the past. Gold and silver is obviously very high. Fiat, high, though, some of this paper, this is about 43 Australian dollars. You could just tear this thing in half. Australian cash is the best in the world I have seen so far, and I've been to about 40 countries. And Australia's cash, it's not paper, it's like plastic. But all these other they're just rubbish. It's monopoly money. It's crazy. You just tear that in half. It's crap. So digital in your bank account is obviously very durable because it's non-physical. Same with crypto and freedom credit. Portability, is it difficult to physically move? Well, this is very lightweight and easy to carry around, so cash is very good. Coins, you don't carry many coins around, and relatively lightweight. In your bank account, digital, crypto, freedom credit, fiat, obviously very easy and portable. Gold and silver, not so much, very heavy. That's why we don't use it anymore. We don't want to go back to using it. Non-counterfeitability. See, everywhere I go to use these notes, everyone always checks, is it real? You never see this in Australia. Here are the 10s. In Australia, with the $100 notes are green. Yeah, you can see this looks, it's crappy. So crappy. This 10 sol is about $4 or so. And I actually had a lady show me at a cafe the other day. She had an ultraviolet light and she's pointing it and she's showing me little identification markers, how you can tell if it's a legitimate note. And so it would be quite difficult actually to counterfeit. Yeah, but they must have a lot of counterfeiters who are making these. That's why plastic money would be harder to counterfeit as well and have all the plastic windows and stuff on them. I mean, the idea of cash is good, but too many people think that cash, yeah, we need cash. Well, we only need cash in comparison to the other systems that they're trying to roll out. Because ultimately, who controls the cash? Who is inflating away the value of your dollars every single day and making them worth less and less and less? We'll get into that into the other videos, but essentially it's currency theft. It's value theft. I mean, a Freedom Credit Cash would be very cool, but it's extremely difficult to organize that. Doing a digital version is hard enough. So non-counterfeitability, people in the past were counterfeiting gold and silver. Fiat can be. Crypto, from what I know so far, it's very difficult, next to impossible, to counterfeit cryptos, which is great. And so with the Freedom Credit, I'd just be looking to copy that technology, find which crypto is the hardest to counterfeit, and just copy the systems that they're using and improve upon it. Centralization, number 7. Can or is managed by a few people, as in sourcing, creation, regulation, value, and transfer. So gold and silver, that's decentralized because anyone can find it and the prices are set by the market. With fiat, that's centralized via the governments and banks. With crypto, many, if not most, are centralized and some are decentralized, although most are using consensus mechanisms, which essentially and effectively creates centralization, which we'll get into detail with Bitcoin later on, because most people believe that Bitcoin is actually decentralized, but when you look at the mechanics of how it's actually working, well, no, it's a centralized currency. And even if it was decentralized, so what? It's still not as good as a private money. And that's what we need. And I haven't seen anyone else talk about a private system, a private ledger before. I think I'm the only person so far to actually come up with that idea. It's not centralized, it's not decentralized. You don't need systems like that for a money. It's thinking in the wrong direction. It's the wrong angle. You need to think, how can we make it private? What does that actually even mean? Which we'll explain over the course of this series. Number 8. Do you need more of it over time to buy the same things? Gold and silver. Well, it depends on supply and demand and economic conditions, but generally it appreciates. Well, with gold and silver, it generally appreciates at the same rate as fiat currency is depreciating when you actually think about it. So using gold and silver to buy the same things, it kind of does require the same amount of gold, because it holds its value. That's actually quite a good thing I do like about gold and silver. But it really just shows how fiat, the currency everyone uses, it is constantly debasing. It's devaluing because of inflation, of the banks making more and more and more. So crypto, no, generally not inflationary, which can increase its value. But it depends on its market value as well, because there's a couple different mechanics there with how crypto works. So it just gets half a point. But with Freedom Credit, it has a locked purchase price, which I'll explain in the next video. It's capped and it deflates and depreciates, which is awesome. That's exactly what you want a currency to do. Number 9. Do you need an intermediary for delivery? Like trust. You need to trust other people. Do you require third-party authorization? You can call this just an intermediary or trust. So gold and silver? No, you don't. Assuming you transfer it via your hands. Imagine if this was gold I'm handing right now and I give it to you. Well, no, you don't need to trust anyone else that they're going to deliver it. You don't need anyone else's permission. Just hand it over, just like cash. It's the same with cash. That's great. That's what's really good about cash. With fiat, when it comes to bank accounts, well, yes, you do require an intermediary, the banking central system. You need to trust that the staff at the bank are going to do the right thing by you and actually allow you to use your money. I was actually trying to buy a game today, and my credit cards were just not being accepted online. And it was just popping up with a message saying, contact your bank. And I used 2 different cards, Visa and Master debit card. Both didn't work. And I was like, okay, all right, I just won't buy the game. That's a bit unfortunate, but it is what it is. Whatever. Because you need to rely upon people external to you. And so that would never happen with Freedom Credit, because only it's your authority that's required to transact. That's it. It's proper peer-to-peer. It's trustless. Whereas with crypto, you have to trust everyone, whether it's centralized or decentralized. There's all these proof of work, proof of stake, delegate, there's a whole list of all these things which require other parties. And even if they aren't conspiring against you, they can make mistakes. The computers can make mistakes. There can be errors. There can be all sorts of problems that can happen. And it's like, why not just use a system that takes away all those problems and only keeps all the good things? Keep all the benefits, get rid of all the unnecessary complexity, which slows things down, takes away your privacy, and creates so many vulnerabilities. Get rid of that. So next we have stability, value fluctuation, and volatility. Gold and silver, well, when measured in fiat, it fluctuates, but generally over time it appreciates. Fiat, that's fluctuating value all the time, though it's not huge, but it does depend on the currency. You should look into like Venezuela and, was it Zimbabwe? Oh, Zimbabwe's inflation, and that well, actually, no, it wasn't fluctuation, it was just inflation and devaluation. They ended up, to cut a long story short, having not a 1,000 Zimbabwe dollar note, not a 10,000, 100,000, 1 million, 10 million, 1 billion, 10 billion, 100 trillion was their biggest note. And I think at that point, it couldn't even buy a loaf of bread. That's how much they devalued their money by making more and more and more of it. It became useless. Crypto, yes, that fluctuates value, can always go up and down. And we can't even say, does it generally appreciate over time, because it hasn't existed for that long. Gold and silver, hundreds, thousands of years, so we know what's going on with that. Crypto, it's still too young to really tell over the long term what's going to happen with that. Freedom credit, well, again, that's a fixed purchase price. It's probably the most stable, or I think it would be the most stable currency ever, because it's got a fixed purchase price and it appreciates in value. The more markets that get involved to use it and start using it, well, because it's got that cap, there's only a limited amount and no more can be made, it continues to appreciate. It becomes more valuable over time, which is awesome, combined with efficionomics and capitalism, of course, competition. If you don't have those things, well, no, it's a very different story, but we'll get through this slowly. Next are the fees. Gold and silver, if you're just handing it to people, no fees. Fiat, there can be, it depends, for spending, storing, withdrawing. Crypto, medium to high fees. Oh, the times I've used crypto, playing around with that, sending Bitcoin or Monero, yeah, some of the fees can be ridiculously expensive, and it depends on which wallet and exchanges you're using. Obviously, some are more than others. Some of them I was using like $10 Australian dollars to send a transaction, and it might take hours. It's crazy, and I know there's improvements in technology and the fees, but still not very good. With freedom credit, low to no fees, explained in the next video. Custody, so it means who's controlling it once it's in the account or the wallet. Gold and silver, if it's in your hand, it's in your safe, you have custody. Fiat, well, the banks have custody of your account. If you're holding the cash, you have custody. But if you put the cash into the bank account, legally, now it's theirs. Which we'll explain with bail-ins and freezing accounts, etc. later on. Crypto, there are self-custodial and custodial accounts. So if you have a custodial account, it means someone else is really in control of your money, but you can have self-custody accounts, which is something, that's good. With freedom credit, only self-custody available, meaning only you have control. The format, gold and silver, is physical, it's not digital. I mean, you can get some digital gold and silver, but it's not really, you'd call that a totally different currency now. Fiat, digital and physical. Yeah, as we see, these things are pretty good. Actually, I've got a wallet full of other pieces of cash. I'm gonna show that to you. I've actually got a crypto card here. I had this from years ago. If you recognize that logo, I can't remember it, but it was that company who was charging obscene fees to transfer, to buy and send. Oh, it was crazy. That's why I stopped using it. But what have I got in here? Oh, I've got some euro, just showing you different types of cash. Euro, that's still crappy money. It's just, I mean, it's valuable in comparison to other currencies, but it's still crap money, crap cash compared to Australian dollars. I've got, oh, this is just a little bit of fun right now. What have we got here? I've got, oh, this is from Argentina. Oh, Argentinian pesos. It's 100 pesos, 200 pesos. And then this is from Brazil. Reais, or I can never even pronounce that properly. What's this one? Oh, that's a 50 reais. This is ringgit. Actually, this is good money. Malaysian ringgit. This is close to Australian quality. That's like plastic. Yeah, you can do that and that doesn't break. I wouldn't want to do it with those other ones. I've actually got a few ringgit. One ringgit notes. What's this? This is from Nepal. Rupees. Yeah, okay. 5 rupees. I think these are worth basically nothing. A 50 rupee. 100. This is actually worth something. This is from Georgia. 100 Georgian. It's not written on here, but I think it was Lara. Yeah, because in Turkey they use lira, and in Georgia it was like Lara, something like that. I can't tell. They're not using, like, what is it, the Latin alphabet on here? It's a different alphabet. £5 from Egypt. Just look how crappy and flimsy this is. Oh, it's so funny. Oh, what's this? Ah, lek. 500 lek. I think that's Albania. Lek? Yeah, I'm pretty sure lek is from Albania. That's 1,000 lek. Oh, I haven't gone through this cash for ages. What's this? 50 dinara? Where's that from? Oh, Serbia. Oh, yeah, okay. I've been to so many countries in the past 2 years, I forget all this. Oh, they got Nikola Tesla on this one. I think that's, yeah, from Serbia as well. There's Nikola Tesla. I went to the Nikola Tesla Museum in Belgrade, actually. I don't even think Nikola Tesla was born in Serbia, so I don't know what's going on with that. 200 is this, oh, also from Serbia, a 200. Yeah, interesting. So that's all I've got. I haven't kept currency from everywhere I've gone. It's just when I've had leftover in my wallets and I haven't wanted to transfer it back into whatever new country I'm in. Currently in Peru. Okay, we're back. That was a bit of fun. Format. Crypto and freedom credit are only digital. So controllability by policy, influence, the amount and supply, the value. Gold and silver, well, the value is manipulated. I need to look into that more, but apparently the value is being suppressed and it's actually worth more than it's listed at the moment. It's listed for a ridiculous amount. And so it's also hoarded and controlled. Like, what was it? Was it Roosevelt? FDR? 1971? Yeah, because we had the Bretton Woods Standard in 1944. I forget all the presidents and stuff. It's irrelevant. But then, was it 71? FDR stole everyone's gold and said, I'm confiscating it, and it's changing the convertibility of the fiat into gold and repealed that. I speak about that in my other video about the history, but just gets pushed out. Human memory, my goodness. Not the best in the world, eh? Great CPUs, pretty bad memory. But yes, gold and silver, and it's hard to get. Most of it is mined by large corporations. It's hoarded, values manipulated, so okay, controllability doesn't get any points there because the goal is to not be controlled. Fiat, yes, definitely controlled by governments and banks. They control the policy, the amount and supply, the value and all that. Crypto, yes, that can be controlled and manipulated by the rich, just by people speculating. What is it when Elon Musk made a tweet saying he was going to accept Bitcoin for buying Teslas? Value of Bitcoin goes up. When he says Tesla can't buy Teslas with Bitcoin anymore, boom, the value plummets. So very controlled, which is not good. You don't want that. You want a money that cannot be controlled. It just can't be controlled in any way, except by you. 15, ease of use. Gold and silver, very easy. Fiat, very easy to use a bank account and cash. You don't need to learn much to be able to do that. Just for using, obviously, understanding everything behind it is quite complex and abstract. Crypto, very difficult. There's graphs everywhere. There's all these KYC and exchanges. It's a big learning curve to get into it. Sure, it might be getting easier, but still, for most people, it's too hard. Freedom credit is designed to be very easy. I want it to be as easy as a bank account, perhaps even easier than that. Exchangeability can be exchanged or sold for other currencies. If I take this 100, I could exchange it for euros and it might buy me 20 euros or so for this 100 solos. With the freedom credit, ideally I don't want it to be able to do that because the point of using it is to use it and not exchange it, and it's meant to be accepted worldwide. So we get into that a little bit later with it being a closed loop system. Next 2 or 3 videos. Gold and silver, yes. Fiat, yes. Crypto, yes, that can be a bit difficult. And freedom credit, officially no, but if it's up and running, it probably will unofficially be convertible into other currencies. But ideally I don't want official channels for that, but don't really have a problem if it's unofficially happening. But ideally, I make it so good that no one wants to exchange it. 17, public account identification, or KYC, know your customer. So if you are familiar with crypto, you know to use crypto 99% of the time, you need to do all this KYC. It's frustrating, it is painful, and you lose your privacy. And it's time consuming. Gold and silver, well, it depends on how you source it. If you find it yourself, I have a friend who actually finds gold, that's really cool. But if you're buying it from a company, you're going to need ID, so that's no good. An individual trader, then you don't, which is good. So it's only scoring half a point here. Fiat, yes, you need ID to open bank accounts, to use it digitally at least. With cash, obviously, you don't need KYC. Though sometimes to exchange it, you do need KYC. Crypto, yes, as I said. Freedom credit, no, the point is to be private. You don't need any ID to use it. You just download the app, you buy your freedom credits using fiat, that's it. No ID. Because your financial privacy is a human right. No one needs to know what you're doing. 18, transfer speed. With gold and silver, if it's physical, here you go. If it's non-local, then it's very slow because it's big and heavy to move. That's why we transitioned away from it. Fiat, with cash, it's instant or digital. It's normally instant, though sometimes Visa and MasterCard, when you're tapping on machines, it can take 10, 20 seconds sometimes, which is not very good. And there's a whole technical reason behind that, why it gets slow, because they can only have so many transactions happening simultaneously. Same with crypto as well. The blockchain networks can only handle so many transactions at the one time. Though with the freedom credit, it works in a very different structure. So depending on the capacity of the internet itself, which would be the only limiting factor, you could theoretically have 10 billion people all transacting at the same time, and it shouldn't slow it down. It should still be theoretically instant. I mean, the only bottleneck would be the internet itself, because it just works in a fundamentally different way to cryptos and fiat, which is awesome, which is really good. You want it to just be boom, instant transfer. Who wants to wait around? You just want it to be as fast as cash. Privacy and ledger. Well, gold and silver, no, because it's just physical, just the same as you don't have a ledger when you're using cash, unless you write and track down your own ledger. Well, what is a ledger? A ledger is just a tracking of all your transactions, a history, and your current balance, which is what you have in bank accounts and in your crypto wallets. That's a ledger. And so when you're trying to design a private ledger, man, a lot of work needs to go into that to figure out how it can be done well. That was a really hard nut for me to crack in theory. It took a long time. It's a difficult problem. And so I understand why there really isn't anything good or suitable today, because it's a difficult problem to figure out. To make it good, obviously, if you just want a centralized ledger, yeah, you use the banks. Not much to crack there. Not very good though, because it's not your money. You have no privacy. Crypto. Bitcoin, that uses a public ledger, which is even worse than the bank account. Sure, it's encoded, but people with the right know-how can figure that out. And it's just not a good idea. Other cryptos use decentralized ledgers, which is better than Bitcoin. But with Freedom Credit, it's a self-hosted private ledger. Oh, it's so much better. It's such a better idea fundamentally. That will be explained on page 7. Number 20, individualistic versus collectivist. Is it a sovereign money or is it a democratic money? Does it rely on others to use? So with gold and silver, it's individualistic, it's sovereign. There's no reliance on others, provided you hold and deliver it. That's a big but, that's a big if. Because as we see from history, most people didn't hold and deliver their own money. They put it into banks and we are where we are today. With fiat, it relies upon collective governance via the banks and governments. It's a democratic system, which is not good. Crypto, same thing, not good. Freedom Credit, it is individualistic and sovereign, but it still relies on technology itself and the internet. So it does have those drawbacks. Although I would ideally like to figure out how to make it work offline, but that is a big nut to crack. I'm sure it can be cracked, just needs more time, and I haven't devoted the energy to it, because this stuff, trying to figure out how to build a proper currency like this, is very energy demanding. It takes a lot of intellectual effort to figure this stuff out. So points is a good money. Freedom Credit, that scores 19 points. Gold and silver 15, fiat 11, crypto 10. And so obviously that is assuming where Freedom Credit, whereas to be determined, is high. So now to finish off, let's go over sovereign versus democratic money. What does that actually mean? Most people have probably never heard of this. Well, actually, I'd say everyone's never heard of this, because I just made up this concept the other day because I realized, I was like, oh, yeah, actually I can see that. That's like an aspect of money. Oh, interesting. So you've heard it here first. Sovereign versus democratic money means usability determined by the individual or majority vote. A democratic money means if you're outvoted for whatever reason, you can't use your money. So money shouldn't be democratic, it should be sovereign. If you can be outvoted and not allowed to use your money, then it's not your money. A good money recognizes the individual as sovereign and is not part of a democratic system. You should be the ultimate ruler of your wealth, not a majority vote. If you must put your faith and hope into your money, you're using the wrong money. Banks are collectivist and democratic systems. Provided you have the permission of those who run the bank and the people the banks answer to, like government officials, then you can use your money. And some people, they view this as a good system to prevent criminal behaviour, but more often than not, we see the banks and governments acting as criminals themselves and unjustifiably freezing innocent and good people's accounts. This may have even happened to you. How many other people have you heard this happening to? Even just one. When they're a good and innocent person, there's no reason they don't deserve to have that happen. It's wrong. It's on record that banks even steal cash from people's accounts, whether due to bail-in policy or government order. It's just not on. This collectivist and democratic system violates any sovereignty one believes they have over their account and wealth. It's a gamble. It's Russian roulette, really. With banks, your ability to use your money isn't a right. It's a privilege, which can be revoked at any moment. And cryptocurrency functions in a very similar way. You may have a self-custodial account and hold your keys, preventing unauthorized crypto confiscation by external forces, but to transfer your funds, you must rely upon a collective democratic consensus, whether it's proof of stake, work, or any others. You can only send and receive money if the majority say you can. Sure, it may be harder for the majority to negatively control this compared to banks, but the fact is, it's possible. You're reliant on many intermediaries to ensure your money is delivered and received. Your ability to earn and spend is ultimately decided by majority rule, i.e. democracy. The power to use your money is in the hands of the collective, not you, the individual. With Freedom Credit, there are no intermediaries or external custodians. There's no democratic vote or collective consensus governing your ability to earn and share your wealth. You are the sovereign, and as a sovereign, you individually control who you send money to. Your power to receive and send credits is not up for debate, vote, or collective agreement. Your private ledger is self-hosted and self-custodial. Your Freedom Credits are cryptographically secure and not counterfeitable. You secure your account with as many 2FAs and strong passwords as you wish. No one can see your balance or transaction history. No one can freeze your account or withdraw funds without your permission. No one can block your ability to send or receive. Your money transfers directly peer to peer, from buyer to seller. There are no postmen you need to pray to that shall deliver your money, like you must with banking and crypto. Using the Freedom Credit is like sending a Bluetooth file or text message. It's the closest there is to digital cash. Everything else is like using a postal network. It must travel from hand to hand, and at any point, the postman may fail to deliver your money. Good money is built with individual sovereignty in mind, not collective democracy. A good money should be trustless, relying on as little external factors as possible. All the Freedom Credit relies upon is electricity to power your devices in the internet. All other alternatives require you to trust people, and people can make errors or become corrupted. Trust a money which empowers you to be the sovereign of your wealth. So I hope you enjoyed that video. That's the end for today. And in the next one, we're going to be looking at page 1, going over what actually is the Freedom Credit. So just do a quick scroll through. We'll be looking at the value, the app, how transactions work on a basic level, privacy, security, fees, purchase bonus, cashback and fiat elimination. Oh yes, yes. There's so many pieces of this. How do I get Freedom Credits? How many are there? Where can I use it? New business bonuses, the goods and service grant. So there's a few things we'll be going over, but as you can see, it's chunked down and it's very compacted, succinct, each of these sections here. I'm trying to make it as simple as possible, not going over the top. So see you in the next video. Bye-bye.